Hi, everyone. Welcome to the newest Inference AI episode. Today, we have a very exciting guest here, Kevin Sharps. Kevin, thanks for taking the time to meet with us.
Well, thanks, Nelson. It's great to be here.
What do you think are the things that prevent either a team or a company from adopting something so foundationally changing like AI?
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the hindrances are not going to be specific to AI because I've seen them repeat over the 30 years I've been in and around.
More so just human
industry.
nature in general?
It's human nature. It's the institutions themselves and the way they're organized and
Like
the way
structurally?
they operate. Structurally. Yeah.
Okay. Give me an example where you see this being a factor that prohibits adoption like AI, even though their competitors may be able to do the same thing and slash costs
Well, you
the
have
product.
Yeah, you have all the normal known challenges. Even if the engineering team is getting a lot of confidence and they're very comfortable with what they can point AI at to go solve,
That's right.
they have to go bring a business partner to the table and start to help them understand the potential. They have to probably show them and then help that business partner understand, if I go in this direction, what does it mean for the way I do business today, the way I hire people, the way I train, the way I staff that role. So all that's solvable, but it takes time. It's got some inherent human to human friction. It's got confidence. It's got trust that needs to be built.
Where are the corners or rationales for resistance that you have seen that are most common in these large enterprises?
I think it's really rooted in people's desire to not make a mistake, and especially not say yes to something that's going to reflect badly in the future. You said yes to this, Kevin, and now I have this maintenance nightmare. Who's going to? And I now
same dynamic in psychology where people fear or dread losing $1 more than they want the extra dollar.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. There's also another piece to it, which is permission to transform.
Right.
Any of the more successful engagements that I ran in my career almost always had a more senior person, pick whatever level that needs to be. It doesn't have to be the CEO. It can be people with high leadership quotient and permission to go transform something.
Someone who has permissions around a P&L.
A P&L, or even a process.
That's right.
In the 90s, as insurance carriers were trying to move away from captive distribution, some were, and move towards independent distribution, how you handled the point of submission all the way to commission all of a sudden became a very different exercise, because the wirehouse had an expectation to be paid, had an expectation for speed of underwriting that the traditional distribution it worked at a different speed.
Yeah.
So you needed executives to come in and say, I know that we've been very successful with this for decades, but this new distribution partner and the way we want to do business in the future needs to look different. And to have somebody more senior come in, help get people together, help people be willing to take a chance to try something new, pilot test, create a sandbox that wasn't
taking a chance is such a big part of it. Someone really smart once told me that a big portion of the resistance simply comes from AI being so new.
Yeah.
It's not clear who owns the quote unquote credit if AI works, but it'll be very clear who owns the blame if it does not. And if there's very limited upside to taking the credit, but all the downside in the world, it's going to be hard psychologically for someone to just take a chance, right?
Yes. And that's faced every technology that came in. It sounds crazy, but
cloud,
even CRM solutions.
CRM.
Are you sure we should have customer data on what the next best action should be?
That's right.
That was the debate.
Non-structured database back in the day.
Yeah. So you asked what leads to no or what hinders. It's all of those things. One of the things that is incredibly helpful is having a senior enough executive be able to create an environment for those teams to think differently, try different things. And even if it doesn't work, that isn't necessarily deemed a failure, which is the big risk that you were talking about.
Right. A lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
Or even just the perception of failure.
Right. So a senior more executive who can say, listen, the North Star is a different way of doing this.
Right.
The fact that we didn't get it right now is not That's not the issue, because we are still heading towards that North Star. And so you need people that can see across a budgeting cycle, people who can see across a couple of functions, people who have at a senior level raised their hand and say, I'm going to be the person that's going to, from the executive side, help us have some ambition and go after, in a way, something that is going to change the way we do business. If you leave it to well-intended, strong middle managers, they're going to run up against their own silos, their own budgets, their own...
all kinds of resistance or friction.
Which is good. It keeps people from making mistakes. But it also is incredibly difficult to go make something new happen.
It's not structurally conducive to self-innovate.
Right.
Other that's a construct.
And candidly, that's what that's what I loved about consulting. We came in with permission to go after an idea. And then we would go back to the client and say, if we're going here, I need someone from underwriting. I need someone from service. I need somebody from here. I need somebody from data.
Well, you see across functions.
We could see across functions, and our project charter gave us permission to work across.
So knowing that you see all sides of the house when you engage deeply with the customer, here's a phenomenon I see a lot where at a given enterprise company, most senior executives acknowledge, let's just say, a problem statement. This area of work, this could be more automated and efficient. We could respond to our partners faster with lower costs, put it back into pricing, so on and so forth, right? Everybody acknowledged like the goal. But then when it comes to an AI solution, it's not clear who should be driving that. What do you think will be the key to kind of solving this chicken or the egg dynamic that is so common, not even just specific to insurance, but I think in cross-function dynamics in general in the corporate world?
Every successful technology project, regardless of whatever the technology was of the day, had...
this is not probably new to you, this phenomenon.
This has been going on since the 90s. It has common features. That a senior enough executive who says, we're going towards this North Star space, and I'm going to ask the team to figure out how to get there, even if it means we try and we have to restart one or two times. We're not going to do it forever, but we need to, for whatever reason, we're going to this North Star space. And then the second piece is you have to have somebody from the business and somebody from the technology side be willing to pair up and be at sometimes co-owners, co-sponsors. Now, I might drive all the technical team and all the technical talent. You're going to drive the business people and be responsible for process and all the rest of that stuff. But to expect somebody to say, just tell me the requirements and I'll go build what you need. Like that's the information through the slot that never works. Tell me what you need so I can put it on the list and then we can budget for it, which is different than the senior executive plus us two are going to be responsible over the next 18 months, so it skips over a budget cycle, to use the CapEx to go transform this way of interacting with customers.
What I've seen very successful companies be able to move quickly on this ahead of others is just asking those very deep first principle questions like, what is even the question we're supposed to be asking?
Right.
Like, are we supposed to solve things the same way but faster? Or should we think about problem solving in an entirely different universe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so some of the triage that we're trained to do as consultants is to go in and say, okay, who owns the business problem? How are you organized from a senior leadership perspective? Do you have the right business and technology? And are they interested in working together? And is this coming out of the business as usual budget, or is this actually a named and chartered project that has CapEx against it and it's going through a different governance process that has different ambitions and expectations for return on that portfolio? So if those pieces are missing, good luck. You may make some incremental discoveries. You may make some incremental progress, but it's going to be almost by definition incremental. It's not going to step across process areas or functional responsibilities or be multidisciplinary. It can't by nature.
So what do you think is the best way for, let's just say, two sides who don't necessarily agree on who should start AI or who owns what to come together and say, hey, we have a common business goal. And how do we accomplish that? Because if we don't, our competitors just might. And that will be devastating for market share.
Yeah, it's not to be overly simple, but you got to start with a problem. What problem are you trying to fix? If the problem is we're low on the league table, and when it comes to renewal season and bidding, we don't have a great part of our value prop that we can put forward to distribution partners. We have to make that better in the next round of business placement, or
we don't. Some of that could be external driven, right? As you mentioned, like distribution partners.
It should be. That's. I spent virtually all my career in what we called our customer practice. We always had two majors, your industry and then your competency, and I was always in the customer practice. The thing I liked about the customer practice, it put all of us on the same side of the table. It wasn't about biz or tech. It was, what's the thing that we need to be able to do for the customer, and what disciplines do we need to bring to the table in order to make that customer outcome happen? New product, new, cutting down servicing time, new channel so they can get self-service, whatever it was. If you can define it in customer outcomes, which should have a one-to-one correlation to either profitability or revenue, or both. Then it keeps us on the same side of the issue. We're both solving the same problem, but just from our own different perspectives and discipline.
There seems to be two prevailing schools of thought around like the problem to solve for AI. One school of thought is both business and tech, in that there's a fundamental belief that AI, being such a transformative technology, is capable of such material cost efficiency improvements that if you put those cost improvements back into the product or the pricing, that there's a ton of market share to be had. Or on the reverse, a ton of market share to be lost if competitors do it first. The other school of thought is AI is cool, it's great, but it's in the realm of tech and IT. So maybe we can write code faster. But it's not going to impact how we fundamentally do business. What is your thought on these two schools of thought?
As usual, and maybe it's the consulting answer, it's always, it depends. I think it's not binary. It's a false choice. Like if I just put my thought process through certain products, around term products, which are very price sensitive, they're short duration.
Very elastic markets.
Taking cost out and plowing it right back into the product is an imperative.
And for certain parts of the group benefits vertical as well.
100%.
Yeah, and certain parts of the annuity market.
Maybe in the annuity market. If I get into like some of the more traditional life insurance products.
A lot less elastic.
Or annuity.
More relationship driven.
Well, it's a different product with a different customer need.
That's right. That's more experience, relationship.
I would be looking to add other services around that. So, and to what degree can we have our whole life or universal life policies associated with financial wellness? Can we bring those kinds of tools and use AI to nudge, steer, provide access so that people can go and self-educate, which we know is a theme. People forever, for the last 20 years since the birth of the internet, want to be an informed consumer when they go and touch some of these what they perceive to be complicated, sophisticated products. So if I'm looking at a term part of the business or more transactional products in the insurance space, I think it's very safe to say, at least ask the question, how does AI allow us to reduce our cost structure and plow that right back into the pricing? On some of the other products, maybe there's a different question that should be asked, which is how can AI help enrich the product beyond the contract so that we're providing more value to the customer?
Beyond the immediate math.
Right. Without adding another 1,000 people with expert level advice that they can.
So maybe win by experience, meeting customers where they want to be experience-wise, embedding yourself, or not redirecting people to places they don't want to, or re-entering things twice, things like that.
Yeah. I used to work with one senior exec who used to say some of the best life insurance customers are people who have bought life insurance once in the past. But as an industry, we have no way of finding and reapproaching those people because most of them are served through distributors.
That's right.
The distribution channel has a high turnover. We create a lot of orphans. It's one of the phenomenons that we've just not
And
been
if
able to
you
solve
even
for.
if you did have those data, the way that they're currently being addressed is so manual and cost intensive. It almost sometimes doesn't make financial sense to do too much with it.
If I was a senior, I had this conversation with another partner of mine who's still in the consulting world, and he is in the customer practice and the service space. And one of the things that when we start to think and imagine where AI might go, it goes right to the entire service operation, which might have 600, 1,200, 2,000 people in it, and figure out how do you take out all of that redundant, all that outsourced kind of repetitive work, and then take some of that freed up cash and plow it into value-added services, like from service to sale, which has always been a holy grail for the industry, not having, post-issue service, just a terminal transaction. But how does it reconnect and reinvigorate the relationship with the client, assuming distribution is fine with it?
The end goal is still to win, but in different markets, you're saying there are nuanced different ways to win. Some of it is pricing, some of it experience, and some of it's speed.
Yeah. I think those are all true. And I would also add to that adding services around it. You see that in the group space. The life and retirement space is ripe for that.
Yeah, absolutely. The last part of this is we've talked a ton about your views from the consultant perspective, which you're obviously very familiar with. But just for my own benefit, you've worked with all kinds of insurers and group, life, annuity, everything in between. And you know a ton even about the PNC space. Mm-hmm. What if you were in the carrier customer's shoes right now and you were looking at a company like me? So what we do, obviously you're familiar with what we do. Mm-hmm. We use agentic AI to help carriers build, maintain, and support workflows in a faster, more cost-effective way. How would you view a company like me? And are there corners of opportunity that even I, as a founder of my company, may not have thought of as a use case for the technology that we already have?
Yeah, I think
like if you didn't know me, and you just like by introduction or something met me and understood what my company does, what would you think about a company like this as a carrier executive?
I'd be very excited. Like one of the things that was really fascinating when I used to sit in the back of the room at Plug and Play is I got to see all my clients coming in from all parts of the country because the industry executives are curious. They don't want to be disintermediated. They don't want to be left out. They're sophisticated people. They just don't know how to build trust, build experience, and then go deploy it. And most of the clients that, when they got engaged around AI, they did the typical strategy and they have a spreadsheet that says, here's all the potential initiatives that we could do. I think the first thing I would do is go back, pull that list out, and look at it from two lenses. One is, which of these initiatives have the highest potential to transform my cost structure?
So for me, what would be the lens you look at me from if you're a customer, not a consultant?
Two places. One, here's the initiatives that we think have high potential to transform our cost structure. You give us feedback. Where do you play? How can you help accelerate some of that? Did we frame it properly? Should we collapse two into one?
So cost takeout will be an important lens then.
100%. I think AI should be, because the safest play at the moment for people who are not comfortable is as a work aid. So deploy it as aggressively as you can as a work aid because that's walled off from the customer.
Right, a productivity gain.
Productivity gain, efficiency, better responsiveness, better confidence around some of our regulatory and customer responsibilities.
That's right.
All the things that we throw people at, show me how to do that in a different way so I can deploy those people onto something else. And the other part is, how do you help me grow? Like I would love to bring a new product that is similar to what another competitor is having a lot of success with. I think we can do that. How do I bring that new product to market faster? Is there a use case for AI in that? How do I bring on a new distribution partner without taking, I happen to know, $24 million in 18 months. I don't have that. I would like to be able to go to my board and say, we identified and we said yes, and then within 6 months we were up and
You're
running.
talking about our case study.
Yes. Those are very powerful applications for AI that steer very far clear of any of the consumer trust or any of those things.
Right.
As that part of the AI world kind of works itself out. I'll look at consumer packaged goods and other industries and let them work on those things.
That's right.
AI for an insurance company that has great products just needs to get it in more customers' hands, be easier to do business with, and have a relatively lower cost of operation, or at least an operation that allows me to be as inventive as I want on the front end without exploding my cost basis. The use case for AI, I think, is incredibly strong.
And to wrap this up, what's your recommendation or advice for a Silicon Valley-based AI company like ours in continuing to make progress in a relatively more stable and traditional industry like insurance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will steal from a client somewhat. Patience, passion, and provocation. I think you need to be patient. You have to understand the human systems, the functional dysfunction, the legacy, the reluctance to make an error, and you have patience to be able to move your clients through that while they're learning and building confidence. And then I think the passion around where we think the solution set can go, and be willing to lean into that, not lose that, even though you're taking people on a journey that might feel like it's much longer than it should be. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, I think we need to be provocative. I think the industry has responded in a very positive way. They've ingested companies like Infrust. They're trying things. They're testing. Now's the time to go bigger. It shouldn't be something that just got tested and then it's sitting over there in the corner and we'll wait and see what happens. Somebody needs to come in on the client side and be provoked to say, what would change your business?
I almost feel like the customers are already self-provoked, and at times I feel like they don't need more provocation from me, in that this is, in my 6 years of founding this company, our AI native an agentic products is maybe the first time where I have so much overwhelming customer demand pull come my direction and say, hey, Nelson, I feel like your tech could do that, but you're not thinking about that. Or like, can't you just do those 3 things also?
Yeah.
I feel like, Nelson, you're not thinking about all these other stuff. It's just like, I feel like they're thinking about this even when I'm not talking to them about it.
Well, that's fantastic. That is amazing. That's only happened a couple times in my career.
I feel like even when we went from on-prem to cloud, people didn't behave like that.
No.
I don't feel like people were thinking about cloud all the time.
No. I think you should take full advantage of that. And then as a startup, the other advice is pick the clients, pick the ones who you think have the right mix of ambition and stick-to-itiveness and are willing to address some of these known hindrances and provide a project structure and executive support and capital to go after the big idea. That's the nice thing I think about the startup world. You don't have to say yes to everybody, but if you have the right 6 or 7 clients who really see you as a partner, want to go after big ideas, that is the best way they can kind of bring Silicon Valley inside their business, is give people big problems to go solve. The clients that I was always the happiest with gave us hard problems, and they showed up and they worked with us shoulder to shoulder. We went and did big things together, and those are the most rewarding parts of the business.
Our best customers were the ones that threw us the hardest problems.
Yeah. And
I got to say, it just feels really good to be able to solve hard problems with really good people.
Yeah. You're describing consulting in my world. What I loved about it was working with really smart people and working on really hard things. And the clients who I count as friends to this day are ones that we went and did hard things together.
Yeah. You know what they say, you can then resonate about the hard thing about hard things.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your time today, Kevin.
It's been a pleasure.